Welcome to the Undiscovered Gems podcast, hosted by NBA legend and business powerhouse Charles D. Smith, highlighting today's best and brightest business minds.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Undiscovered Gems. My name is Charles D. Smith, and I'm your host for another round, a great discussion about your body, your mind, your health, and healing. Today, we have Danielle Marie White. She's a registered nurse, and then she tipped her toe into entrepreneurial waters, and she has her own business. She's a certified dementia provider and a few other things. And we're going to find out a lot about Danielle, and I'm sure she's going to drop some of those undiscovered gems onto us that we can walk away with and be more knowledgeable about a subject we have no idea about. So Danielle, how are you today, and how are you doing?
I am wonderful. I'm great to be here. Feel so blessed, and just want to say hello to everyone out there.
Great. Danielle, registered nurse, you're now an entrepreneur starting your own business. Why and how? What drove you to start your own business?
Well, it was my healing journey. I became disabled, completely disabled. I could barely walk 20 feet without near syncope, passing out. I had Lyme's disease and Rocky Mountain spotted fever and typhus, all tick-borne diseases, and it wasn't caught. Even being in the medical field, we didn't catch it. So by the time it was caught, there was episodes and emergency rooms and multiple specialists. It had affected the nervous system and the conduction system, especially my heart. They ended up putting me on heart failure medication experimentally because that's the only thing they could do. And I refused that there was no other options. And I turned to my
Wow. Well, a lot of times when people get involved in businesses or healing or dealing with people, it is the personal experiences that drive them, because you become the expert, obviously, through going through the process. And the fact that you're a registered nurse, you understand more than just the process of somebody going through it. You're actually intellectual within the process. So clearly, you're well equipped to deal with people in a lot of different situations. So you start your business, and did you have any trepidation about it? Were you totally driven based on your experience? How was that? How did you even get the name Hello Future Healing?
It was a roller coaster ride. I became disabled in 2017 and taken out of work, everything. And I worked on my healing journey. I had built a prayer room and was spending several hours in the prayer room every day. And I started to hear again, and I started to feel the presence again. And I started to hear and receive messages. And I listened. I followed them, and God was telling me what to do. Jesus came in to hold me, started showing me what to do on my body and where, and leading me to providers, holistic providers. And those providers were able to assist me and help me, which opened the door to learning. So first I became a Reiki practitioner, which opened the channel for me. And then I became a Shamanic practitioner. And throughout this course, it was about 5 years. And the Shamanic just really blew everything up, because it really pulls you into God's everything. He is in everything. He created everything. All particles are God particles. And being able to feel the energy, the vibrations. So the name came from when I met my husband. We were putting up a Christmas tree, and he stood up there to put the star on top of the tree. And he looked at me and smiled and said, "Hello, future."
That's great.
I loved it ever since, and it just stuck. And 3 years later, that was the name of the business.
That's a great story. Your whole story is phenomenal, Danielle. Quick question on the spiritual side.
Mhm.
Prior to you having your prayer room, did God always speak to you the way he's speaking to you now? Was that, or that's something new?
No. When I was a child, I did hear and see things, and people thought they were imaginary friends. Um, but I feel that spirits were coming to me then, but I shut
Hmm.
it off. I was made fun of. I was different. I was really like a black sheep of the family. So tried to fit in,
Right. And you never
creating
fit
all those
in.
masks and armor and stuff, trying not to be hurt, trying to be accepted. And honestly, it just doesn't work.
It doesn't. No, it doesn't. And I'm gonna. The reason why I'm asking you these questions because uh, it really seems that you're living in your purpose because those are the things that are coming to you so easy. Um, it's been laid out for you, and you're just walking the path. Everything is there, and you've been prepared for it. Your knowledge has been preparing you to do what you're doing, so it's second nature to you. Acts 1:8 talks about when the Holy Spirit comes upon you, you'll be an example for all Judea, Jerusalem, and Samaria, and all that sees you ongoing amongst the earth. So it's like you are really in your purpose. I'm just hearing you, and it's just refreshing to know that you are doing something that you're supposed to be doing. And so tell me about how you engage with your clients because the reason why I'm asking that now, knowing who I'm speaking to, uh, when you're dealing with other clients, how do you engage with them? How does that go? How do you connect with them?
Initially, a lot of times it's through referrals.
Hmm.
I never put myself out there in marketing. I
Mm.
just always trusted that God would bring who needed to come to me. It was never a financial obligation or an egotistical thing for me. It's always been about God first.
Got it. Understood. And by the way, I only recently meditated on Acts 1:8, and it just came up today. So
Thank you.
didn't know that that's what I was going to be talking about, and it just came right out. So that's
Thank you.
awesome. Um, you know, you have a family, and how is it working with your family, your husband, your kids, um, your medical situation, and running your business? How has that been? Because you can go back and forth to the job, the registered nurse, but you're operating now your own business, probably out of your home,
Mhm.
telehealth. How's that been for you? How's that transition been?
It's been quite easy, actually,
Good.
because the nursing aspect of it, and I worked in the prison system as a nurse and as a medical director. So
Wow.
I've always been called to help those who are suffering. So that gave me the experience before I ever knew I needed it. And I also got my bachelor's online. So that assisted. And then my doctorate, it's mostly online besides being in clinic pretty much.
Sure. Sure. Well, Danielle, sure, it's obvious you're a giver, and you love working with people. So, give us has there been an experience you had that somebody really tested the fiber of your being, and you were on the brink of like stopping, quitting, moving forward, but you didn't, or maybe you did. Can you talk about one of those situations?
Well, in my doctorate, I actually left my program for 3 years out of the frustration of the medical
Mm,
system.
mm.
I did. I just returned uh, last summer. to complete it because I found that I want to change the medical system because I believe that we are taught inappropriately, incorrectly, and they're trying to change the secondary model, but it's going to be a proactive model, which is really good. But I believe that we're looking at the physical when we should be looking at the emotional, the mental, the spiritual body, holistic
Hmm.
all in one.
Sure. Sure. I totally agree with you. Jumping on that a little bit about the medical industry and the profession, you've been on both sides of the fence now. You've done the physical uh, task of working with people. Now you're on the emotional, even spiritual side.
Mhm.
Is it purely economics? What's your story that we don't focus on prevention as much? We don't focus on the spiritual. We don't focus on the emotional. Why is that? What's your take on that?
Well, I believe that the focus is separated. So if you look, you have mental health in one area, you have your primary
Hmm.
care in an area, your specialists. The problem is there's miscommunication or no communication. Patients are being dismissed when a lot of times what's actually going on, what's presenting, is because there's something going on inside physically, mentally,
Mm.
spiritually that is
Hmm.
showing itself. So, as above, so below, as within, so without.
Right. That's a great way of explaining it. Something's happening emotionally, mentally, and it's showing itself physically. And we don't address the root cause. And you're
Correct.
basically saying that is the root cause. That's so awesome. You know, um, what about anxiety? And I'm only saying anxiety because that's an emotion
Yes.
that brings about the stress, the negative triggers, you know, and I can talk to you now from a spiritual standpoint. If you're not leaning on your own understanding, that anxiety kind of goes away because you put it in God's hands, right? So, I'm going to say, do you minister to your clients in a way based on your profession? I mean, you don't have to recite, Bible verses and God, but you can still minister to them to help them heal. Do you use that in your practice?
I'm actually an ordained minister,
Oh,
and I
there's
actually
another nugget.
I actually do. And I have a
Wow.
saltwater pool here, and I've actually baptized clients who have
Wow,
sepsis.
Danielle. Wow. Well, I can probably you're one of a kind. There's not too many ordained ministers that are registered nurse that have been through what you've been through and have come out and to be in a practice where you can really care for someone physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. That's awesome. I don't see too many people or even talk to too many people like that. Um, Congratulations, you're wired. you
Thank
are
you.
you are connected and wired in your craft. Um, so moving toward your practice, um, do you do an intake? What you wanted to say
May
something?
I expand on that just a little bit?
Oh, absolutely, please.
The walk was never easy. It was a lot of trials and tribulations and a whole lot of wrestling with God and my beliefs and the family beliefs and society, and having to learn to reach for God, to ask for help, and learning to listen. That
Mm,
is the key because we miss so much that is being offered. It's just heartbreaking.
right.
It could have saved so much pain and suffering in our lives, especially my own.
Right. And how do you get that message out there? Do you plan on getting, other than like, you're doing a podcast, clearly there's a bigger platform for you because what you're talking about is what everybody needs. And what you're talking about is what everybody needs, but they don't know they need it and they don't know that it's there and it's
Correct.
inside them. But when you speak of it, you get somebody's attention automatically, just as you have mine. Automatically, you got my attention. So, how do you plan on expanding your practice and getting out there?
Well, surprisingly, well, I shouldn't say surprisingly, God works in magnificent
Thank
ways.
you. We're not
I
surprised.
have already been approached by a network, and I have already signed a contract to start my own show.
Awesome. 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 And when will that be? Do you have a time frame yet?
It's going to be the start of next year, probably 6, 8, if
Nice.
I had
Love
to
it.
estimate.
Right. Understood. Understood. There are things not in your control, but yeah, if you had to estimate, that is awesome. What a awesome platform to be able to do that. Um,
And they offered a partnership, and they are going to have me on Old Brave TV and then the top 20 platforms.
wow. Awesome. And by the way, I think I have a contact for you that I think can help. That's on the
Oh,
sidebar.
thank
The sidebar. So getting back to your practice, the question that I had is, as you're dealing with clients, what is your intake process? Are there clients that you necessarily won't work with? How do you do the intake?
There is no one that I won't work with because everyone starts somewhere. And most of the time, the people that are rejected as clients are the ones that need the most help. And they're turned away when there's something spiritual that can be done to help you and end their pain, their suffering, their sickness.
Mm-hmm.
No. When Jesus washed my feet, that sorry, I'm gonna try not to cry.
Let it go. No, don't, because if you do, I might. So don't. Don't. Um, but I get it. I want to talk about the different practices you have. One is you're a dementia provider.
Yes, sir.
Now that I know a little bit about you, I understand why you're a dementia provider. Um, that is all mental, emotional, and connectivity. How do you work with people with dementia?
Well, it depends on the client's family. They get to have the say. The guardian has the control of what they want to look at, whether it's medical or bringing in all of them together.
Mm-hmm.
You can have drastic changes in clients. And when that occurs and lucidity comes back, there is no question.
Mm.
But something else I would like to touch on with that is it's not just Alzheimer's or dementia patients
Mm-hmm.
classified as medical. If you think about when you feel fuzzy, unclear, like the veil's over, it's
Mm-hmm.
too much mental processing, but it's having to get to what's underlaying that and what's causing that issue.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think about the neural network a little bit, they are, well, this is perfect. This is like a synapse of your brain. That's
Mm-hmm.
right there. And what happens is all those connections wire and connect in your brain.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think about it in real world terms, it's like building a road, construction. So when you have new learning, it's like you're tearing up the ground, clearing out what's there, and then you have to prepare the ground. And then you come in with, I'm not a specialist on this by any means, gravel and asphalt.
Sure.
So if you drive on a dirt road, it's a lot slower. If the road isn't even there yet, it's really slow. So if you think about your synapses, you create these connections,
Right.
which create your thought patterns, your beliefs, and that's what gets ingrained, habitually cycling.
Mm-hmm.
But the more you work on it, you can change anything and come back to
Mm.
your soul.
Wow.
And once those pathways are going continuously in those cycles, you're looking at freeways.
Right. Got it. Got it. So how do you work on it though?
You go back to where the client is. Everybody's individual, and you have to work with them and find out spiritually on with them because their higher selves come in this,
Mm-hmm.
and you start from where they are.
Meet them where they are.
Yes,
Got it.
you got to
Um,
hold somebody's hand, not walk in front of them, not pull them. They have to be ready so they can take your hand and walk beside you.
got it. We're going to get into shamanic. If I pronounced it, if I enunciated the right way. I did not, did I? Is
It's
it,
really close. You're really
what
good.
is it?
Really good. Shamanic.
I want shamanic. Okay. But I have one more question on dementia, Alzheimer's. You know, a lot of people, it seems like, although they begin to forget a lot of things, they remember the happiest moments and they recall them.
Mhm.
And I see that over and over again. It could be music, songs that made them happy. They could sing the songs again. I saw someone recently in the hospital. I haven't seen this woman in since I was a teenager. And her husband was sitting by her side, dementia in the hospital, and she remembered me. And it was only for maybe 5 seconds because her husband realized it, and then it went away. And he says, "I can't believe that," you know. So it kind of made me feel good that she remembered me. But why is that?
Well, if you
Why do you
think
think
about
that is?
your senses and your memories, the ones that you hold on to and remember, they're meaningful, whether positive or negative.
Mm-hmm.
But in dementia patients, most of the time they hold on to those positive ones. Just going back to the neural network, they've probably replayed those memories because
Uh,
anytime we want to increase our vibration or feel happier, what do? We think about happy times, our loved ones, people who make us feel good.
right, right. That makes total sense. Let's talk about what exactly is shamanic healing.
Exactly. It goes back to the Inca times,
Okay.
indigenous people, and sorry about that. Peruvian is my base of where I learned. And then I learned also cross culture. So
Hmm.
what their beliefs incorporates everything as a whole, everything as a part of God particle. So you have co-creative relationships, love and respect for the
Hmm.
earth, for God, for spirit, for everything.
Got it. And I'm just going to take a stab at it that someone who does shamanic healing, is that where we get the name Shama? Someone
Shaman.
who's a shaman? A shaman. Ah, yes, yes,
Mhm.
yes. What was the coursework or the educational path to learn this type of healing?
It's a year-long process where you're doing your inner work and you're removing all of that stuff that's inside that needs to go. The masks, the pain, the traumas, the beliefs. You're digging all that stuff out over the year, and you go to 4 retreats every quarter to
Hmm.
work on deep work with your
Mm,
so you're hollowing out your vessel, becoming clean so that
mm,
God can work more through
understood.
you.
Um, Based on uh, your diverse spiritual walk through healing, where have you seen synergistic uh, value in education amongst all of this that you're doing? Have you found any, like with shamanic, intuitive coaching, shamanic work, dementia work, and from a spiritual standpoint, is there a baseline that you continue to go back to and then work with everybody? Is there any synergistic thing there?
Everybody's individualized,
Mm-hmm.
but the process across the board is the same, but it's finding out where they are with each thing along that line. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was thinking that, you're an intuitive coach from, let's say, from a coaching standpoint, you have different people that you work with, and you
Mhm.
have to work with them differently, but you're still a coach. You're still you're still a motivator, and you might have to motivate different people different ways. You still deal with the X and O's, which is your education that you comes to the forefront. So I was kind of looking at it from a coaching standpoint, and all these people you deal with, is there a base of who you are? What does Danielle bring every single time, no matter who she's working with, because that works.
God.
Just wanted you to say it for
Yeah.
our audience.
Always God first and the archangels and then the spiritual teams of that person and myself. And I move aside because it's not about me. God is doing the work. He's just using me as his vessel.
You put them in front of the door, you do the knock, and you walk away. The door is going to open for them. That's awesome. That's incredible, Danielle. Danielle, I want you to be able to talk to the audience a little bit, and what should they know about your practice that you're doing that they may not know. Speak to the audience and tell them about what you do, how you go about it, and how you can help them.
Well, mostly I do shamanic work on the intuitive level. I do free consultations, and I also do a lot of volunteer work. So if someone needs help, please don't hesitate. Schedule a consultation, and we will figure out where you are, what you want to work on, because it's all about you
Right.
completely.
That's incredible. If I am hearing that and you are hearing it out there, a free consultation, it's all about you. You have nothing to lose. Get healed. Danielle, I want to thank you for your education, your wisdom, sharing your walk with us. You're a very special, unique person, primed to do what you're doing. And thank God for you. Thank you for being on the show. It's been awesome. And thank you for sharing your undiscovered gems with our audience. Thank you, Danielle.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Great. Hope to see you again one day. Take care.
Absolutely.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Undiscovered Gems with our host, Charles D. Smith, highlighting today's best and brightest business minds. Brought to you by Pods Entertainment Group.